Day 32. I was almost going to skip today's video, but then Sterling texted me and said, "Hey man, I'm mad." So I made a video and want you to put it on your channel. So without further ado, let's let Sterling talk for today. Day 32, I feel great. Let's see what Sterling has to say.
How we doing, kids? So I ran into a little problem today, and sorry for interrupting your regularly scheduled Snore Lord content. Uh, there's something I need to show you, and it's very disappointing for those of us on the carnivore type diet. Uh, I'm more on no sugar, no grains. I'll still do dairy and stuff. Just no sugar, no grains. I bought some steaks at Sam's Club. I believe they're sirloins, and they were really, really good price. And I've run into this problem before uh, when the sweet and sour sniffles was in full effect, and meat got really cheap for a little bit. I didn't understand why till I did some research on it. But first, I'm going to show you what the problem is. Stay tuned. So, while I was work today, I had Red Lady cook up these, I believe it was a sirloin steak from Sam's Club. You could probably get the same thing at Walmart. The seasonings are Dale's, which can be troublesome. There's a lot of, well, soy sauce is bad, corn syrup is bad. MSG is bad, sugar is bad, ginger is bad. So, hey, this is just a seasoning. It just goes on the outside of the steak. I ain't too worried about it. But the other seasoning is the Meat Church Holy Cow. We got to be careful with it as well because there is salt, spice, dehydrated garlic, spice extractives, and no MSG. Okay, so this one's actually good. Okay, so, a little bit of bad, a little bit of good. We should have a good steak, right? So I have trained Red Lady to cook our steaks about medium. So we pull at 145 degrees and then cover the steaks for maybe about 20 minutes. And it gives us a good medium. There's no blood running out all over the place. And I had one of these a little earlier and detected a problem. I don't know if you kids can kind of just see by looking at it if there's a problem, but it looks normal. I mean, there's a little bit of, it looks like gristle or something like that, and a little bit of like a line right there, right? So when we cook the steak, or warm it back up, you'll see it's, right now it's cold, but you can see how it's firm, right? And you could kind of tell there's a line here, like the grain of the meat's going a different direction than the grain right here, and it pulls apart pretty easily, which is kind of cool. But then we run into a problem. See how we're kind of firm? And as we approach this little line right here, the steak just turns to mush. It's the consistency of like liver, right? Look at that. Would you want to eat that? This is what happens when you try to cook a steak that has been processed. Like it's almost like friggin' refried beans. Who's to know what's in this steak? It might even have soy. But it's just this little part right here, right? We can kind of pull it apart and like I said, I don't know if you kids eat liver, but it's got the same consistency. And the smell is a little weird. And like I said, this is the steak that we got at Sam's Club. You know, it's cooked okay, but you could tell that it's been manufactured. It's been like glued together. I got like a fucking fly that wants. You know it's bad when the flies are like wanting to love it on it. But even as we tear it apart, that doesn't look like your grain that like a steak should have. I'm willing to bet this entire steak is food glued together. I think it's completely mechanical processed steak. The pink is the normal thing that we see from the smoking process. So I'm thinking like maybe the entire steak is that doesn't look like sirloin, right? That looks more like a pot roast. And you see how when it breaks apart, you got this like little white stuff in it. Fat isn't pure white like that. I'm willing to bet that that's food glue. So I just want to do this as a warning to be careful about buying cheap cuts of meat. Cheap cuts of meat that seem to be like perfect. See how it's stringy? I don't know if the camera will focus on it, but it almost looks like spider webs. Isn't that the craziest thing? So yeah, be careful on the kind of meat you buy. Now here's the thing. I've run into this before. Like I said earlier, I bought cheap steaks during the sweet and sour sniffles when we all had to hide in our houses while everyone coughed and went on ventilators. Different topic. And I'd bought a bunch of cheap steaks, and I cooked them like a normal steak. I like my steaks medium rare, medium, you know, somewhere in between. And they all came out like this, like paste, like food paste, like it was glued together. And I did my research and I found out it was mechanically processed steak. So basically this is pink slime formed into steaks. The extra meat in the butcher process, they glue together to make these sirloin steaks. It's a fake sirloin steak. So it's so disappointing. If you overcook it, it's edible. The food glue kind of like just disappears. But altogether, I don't know. Like I wouldn't call that fit for human consumption. And be honest with you, no other country in the world would allow this. Only America. So there you go. Don't buy cheap meat. So we'll let that be a warning. Don't buy cheap meat. Buy it from a butcher. Buy it locally. Walmart, Sam's Club, disappointed. Trash.